He gave her bus money, not knowing she was a CEO who'd fall for him. He handed her a few dollars to the bus, not knowing she was a millionaire CEO, and that single act made her fall hard for him. The first raindrop hit the sidewalk just as Maya Brooks let out a tired sigh. Could this day get any worse? She yanked open her bag for what felt like the 100th time, digging through everything with rising panic. Lipstick, a ring of keys, a business card, no wallet. Her phone was dead too. She squeezed her eyes shut and tried to steady her breath. Maya was proud of being in control of her company, her schedule, her life. But today the universe seemed set on testing her patience. She had wrapped up a big investor meeting earlier, and somewhere between leaving the building and getting out of a taxi, her wallet had vanished. No credit cards, no cash. Now she was stuck at a bus stop miles from home with no way to pay the fare. Of course. That's when the sky decided to open up. She looked up, annoyed. Really? A few feet away, Ethan Reed shifted his weight, watching the woman struggle. She didn't belong at a grimy downtown bus stop. Not in that sleek, tailored coat, not with those sharp, confident features. Ethan had lived in the city long enough to spot wealth when he saw it. What's a woman like her doing stuck like this? He noticed a sharp exhale, her hand tightening on the bag strap, the way her shoulders squared up like she was bracing for a fight. This was clearly not someone who asked for help. Still, she needed it. Need a hand. The voice beside her was deep but easy, like he was used to calming people down. Maya turned, startled. A man stood there, tall, lean, in worn jeans and a plain black hoodie. His brown hair was a little messy, and his blue eyes were steady and kind. There was nothing flashy about him, except the quiet warmth in his gaze. Maya hesitated. She cleared her throat. I lost my wallet. Ethan nodded, like he'd already guessed. Got any friends nearby who can spot you? She swallowed her pride. My phone's dead. Ethan chuckled softly. Rough day. Maya huffed. You have no idea. For a few seconds, Ethan weighed his choices. He had exactly $44.75 in his pocket, enough for one ride home after a long shift. But this woman, a stranger, needed it more right now. Without another word, he reached into his pocket, pulled out some crumpled bills and loose change, and held it out. Here, he said simply. Bus fare. Maya blinked, then looked from the money to his face. People didn't just do this. Not in her world. She studied him, searching for a hook, some hidden angle. Nothing. Just plain sincerity. She let out a small breath and took the money. Thank you. Ethan shrugged. It's just a couple bucks. But to Maya, it was more than that. Let me pay you back, she said, already mentally planning how to track him down later. He shook his head with an easy smile. Don't worry about it. Just pay it forward one day. She froze. He wasn't asking for anything in return. For some reason, that made her chest tighten. Before she could say more, the bus pulled up with a hiss. Maya hesitated for half a second, then stepped on. As the doors slid shut, she glanced back to the rainy glass and saw Ethan still standing there, hands in his pockets, watching the bus roll away. He had no idea he'd just handed cash to a woman who could have bought the entire bus line if she wanted. And for the first time in a long time, Maya felt small in a good way. She didn't mind it. Maya Brooks wasn't the type to think about a stranger after one short moment. Her life was fast, focused, and planned to the minute. There wasn't room for distractions. Yet the next morning, as she sat in her top-floor office reviewing proposals, her mind kept drifting to the man at the bus stop. Ethan. There was something about him. Something real. She'd met countless men in suits who measured every word, never saying anything unless it helped them win. Something. Ethan had given away his last few dollars without hesitation, not because he expected anything, not because he knew who she was, but because he was kind. She shook her head and sighed. Why was she even thinking about this? Her intercom buzzed. Ms. Brooks, her assistant said, the department heads are waiting for you in the conference room. Maya exhaled, smoothing her blazer. Time to focus. The conference room buzzed with the usual corporate energy. Quick side talks, the rich smell of fresh coffee. When Maya walked in, the mood shifted. Conversations quieted. eyes turned. She took her seat at the head of the long, gleaming table and nodded to the group. Then something caught her eye. A familiar figure stood near the back wall, by the maintenance panel, setting down a toolbox. Maya's breath caught. Ethan. For a heartbeat she thought she imagined it. Then he looked up and their eyes met. Nothing in his expression changed. No shock, no spark of recognition. He gave a polite nod and returned to work, as if she were just another executive in a stack of them. Maya felt the air leave her lungs. For the rest of the meeting, Maya was only half there. She listened to reports, signed off on plans, asked a few pointed questions, but in her mind she kept seeing Ethan's face. He worked here, in her company. What were the odds? When the meeting ended, she lingered, watching him gather his tools. She didn't know why, but she didn't want this to be the last time she saw him. "Excuse me," she said, keeping her voice even. Ethan looked up. "Yes, ma'am?" The ma'am almost made her laugh. If only he knew. She straightened. "What's your name?" He paused. "Ethan Reed." "How long have you worked here?" "About a year," he said, shifting the toolbox handle. "Maintenance team." He seemed cautious, like he wasn't used to executives noticing people like him. "Good," she said simply. "I'll see you around, Ethan." Then she turned and left before she could overthink it. As she walked down the hall, she couldn't shake the tiny smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. A week later, Maya realized she had started scanning the building for Ethan without meaning to. She spotted him now and then, fixing a flickering light, checking an HVAC unit, but he never looked at her the way she looked at him. To him, she was just another suit. Then one evening, while reviewing emails, a subject line grabbed her attention. Employee complaint. Ethan Reed. Issue. Alleged insubordination. Maya frowned and clicked. The report said Ethan had challenged his supervisor, Mark Grayson, about unsafe working conditions. Her fingers curled slightly. She could already see it. Ethan standing his ground because he actually cared. The recommended action, field red. Suspension. Maya's jaw tightened. Not happening. Within minutes, she wrote to HR from CEO Maya Brooks. Subject, Ethan Reed's review. I'd like to personally review the complaint regarding Ethan Reed before any action is taken. Until then, no disciplinary measures should be enforced. Maya Brooks. She hit send. He would never know, but that wasn't the point. She wasn't going to let a man like him get punished for doing the right thing. For the first time in a while, Maya found herself looking forward to small, ordinary moments. Not high-stakes meetings or big board votes, but random run-ins with Ethan Reed. It started subtle. She took the longer route to her office, so she'd pass by maintenance areas. Now and then she needed help with things she could fix herself, like her thermostat or a flickering lamp. Every time she called, Ethan showed up. At first he was all business. Polite, calm, not flustered. To him, she was just another employee. Slowly, that changed. One afternoon, Maya stood by her stubborn thermostat, scowling. "It's stuck again," she muttered as Ethan walked by. He arched an eyebrow. "You sure you didn't hit the wrong button?" Maya folded her arms. "I think I know how. To use a thermostat." Ethan smirked and stepped inside. "I don't know. You look like someone who might overcomplicate things." She fought back a smile as he reset the system in seconds. "There," he said. "Now your high-power day can run at the perfect temperature." She rolled her eyes. "I'm forever in your debt." He chuckled. "I'll put on your tab." After that, the wall between them started to crack. Over time, Maya learned more. Ethan worked 2 jobs to cover rent. He once wanted to be an engineer, but never had the money for school. He watched out for his younger sister after their parents died. He didn't whine. He didn't play the victim. He handled his life. Maya found that both inspiring and, if she was honest, frustrating. She wanted to tell him he deserved more, that life didn't have to be this hard. But Ethan wasn't the kind to take handouts. So she listened. Somewhere along the way, he stopped being the maintenance guy in her mind. One evening, Ethan stepped outside for air after a late shift. He saw Maya near the curb talking to a man in a black suit. A sleek car rolled up. Maya slid into the back seat without a second thought. Ethan frowned. She always blended in at work. Professional but never loud, never showy. That car and that effortless confidence, something didn't add up. For the first time, Ethan wondered who exactly Maya Brooks really was. He got his answer the next day. While fixing a vending machine, he overheard two employees in the break room. "Did you see Maya's new interview?" One asked. "Oh, yeah," the other said. "She's incredible. Running a billion-dollar company at 30? Unreal." Ethan's hands paused on the machine. "What?" He kept working and listened. "She's not like the usual CEOs." The first went on. "No flashy stunts, no scandals. Just smart and tough." The other laughed. "Maya Brooks is a force." The name hit him hard. Maya Brooks. His brain replayed every moment with her. Easy talks, small jokes, the luxury car, the way she carried herself. She wasn't just an employee. She was a CEO, a billionaire, someone far outside his world. And she'd never told him. Ethan always trusted his gut about people. This time it failed him. He'd spent weeks getting to know Maya, thinking she was just another driven co-worker who stayed grounded. Now he knew the truth. She was the boss. And the worst part? She hadn't said a word. He wasn't naive. Powerful people guarded their secrets. But Maya had seemed different, honest, real. Had it all been a game? Had she been amused by the maintenance guy who didn't realize who he was talking to? He didn't know. He only knew one thing. He needed to back off. The next time Maya saw Ethan, she felt the shift right away. The playful smirk was gone. The quick jokes were gone. The look that said he saw her, just her, was gone. His greetings were short, his tone clipped. He didn't linger anymore. At first, she wondered if she was imagining it. Then it kept happening. Every time she tried to start conversation, he found a reason to leave. Every time she ran into him, he wouldn't meet her eyes. It hurt more than she expected. After one more stiff, awkward run-in, Maya gave up on patience. Instead of heading to her office, she took the stairs down to the lower floors where the maintenance team worked. She wasn't sure what she'd find, but when she turned a corner, there he was, shirt damp with sweat, hands deep inside a stubborn air unit. The room was hot and loud. He kept working, jaw tight, focus sharp. Maya watched for a moment. This was Ethan, hard-working, steady, stubborn. But she could see the stress in his shoulders and the tired lines on his face. Without thinking, she stepped closer. "Need a hand?" Ethan went still, then turned. His eyes were darker than usual. "What are you doing here?" His voice was quiet. Maya crouched beside him. "Thought you could use help." He let out a short, humorless laugh. "Right, because the CEO has time to fix air. Conditioners now." The bitterness stung. "I'm still the same person, Ethan," she said softly. He blew out a breath and ran a hand through his hair. "No, you're not." Maya swallowed. "I never lied to you." "You didn't have to," he muttered. "You just let me believe something that wasn't true." She wanted to explain, to set it right. Before she could, he stood and wiped his hands on his jeans. He looked at her, really looked, and his voice was gentle but firm. "We come from two different worlds, Maya." Then he walked away, leaving her alone in the hot, humming room. Maya Brooks was not the kind of woman who quit on something she wanted. And right now, she wanted Ethan to understand he had her all wrong. She didn't care about his paycheck. She didn't care about the gap between their lives. She didn't care about the lines he kept drawing between them. But Ethan wouldn't believe it. So Maya made a plan. The next afternoon, she stepped into the maintenance office while Ethan was reviewing work orders and leaned on the doorframe. "Hey," she said. "Hey," he answered, not looking up. She ignored the chill. "I need to discuss something with you." "Over coffee." His eyes lifted, cautious. "Coffee? Yeah," she said lightly. "You know, that drink people have when they need to talk." He studied her for a long beat, then sighed. "Fine." They sat across from each other in a quiet cafe, far from boardrooms and investor calls. For the first time in weeks, Ethan wasn't closed off all the way. He eased up a little. They didn't talk about work or money. They talked about simple things. movies, books, street corners they liked in the city. For a moment, Maya let herself believe they could go back to how it was before he learned the truth, that maybe, just maybe, this could turn into something real. But reality caught up fast. A few days later, Maya was heading toward the parking garage when she heard Ethan's voice echo off the concrete. She wasn't trying to listen, but something in his tone made her pause. "She's amazing, man," he said, tired but certain. "But I won't be that guy." Another voice, probably a friend from the crew, asked, "What guy?" Ethan let out a breath. "The guy who dates someone like Maya Brooks and spends the rest of his life as a footnote in her story." Maya's stomach twisted. Ethan kept going, quieter now. "I need to make something of myself first. I have to stand on my own. Otherwise, I'm just a project she helped, and I can't live with that." There was a beat of silence before his friend asked, "So what are you going to do?" Ethan's answer was soft but final. "I'm going to let her go." The words hit like a punch. Maya could handle someone not liking her. She could handle anger, distance, or pride. But this wasn't rejection because he didn't care. This was fear. Fear that he would never feel like her equal. And that was something she couldn't argue away. So, for the first time in years, Maya did something she hated. She stepped back. The next morning, she stopped looking for him in the halls. Stopped trying to change his mind. Let her schedule fill up and let the silence grow, even though it stung every time she thought of him. Ethan told himself walking away was the right call. Their lives were different. Their paths weren't meant to cross. She needed someone who could meet her where she was, not someone stuck fixing elevators at midnight. But the moment she stopped trying, everything felt wrong. At first, he figured it was just a come down. A few rough days until things evened out. Then days turned into weeks, and the ache stayed. Each morning he clocked in and felt her absence. No more chance meetings. No quick jokes at the thermostat. No spark in the middle of a dull workday. He tried to bury himself in overtime. He tried going out with friends. He tried talking to new people. None of it helped. The cafe where they once sat felt too quiet. The vending machine he'd fixed. The day he learned the truth made him wince. Even the bus stop where they met made his chest tighten. Finally, he couldn't stand it. He needed to fix what he'd broken, even if it meant risking his pride. The timing couldn't have been worse. It was the night of the Brooks North Annual Gala, the kind of event where everything shimmered and nothing was out of place. Hundreds of guests filled a bright, lavish ballroom. Employees, partners, investors. A small orchestra played. Waiters moved like clockwork. Ethan had no reason to be there, but he showed up anyway, wearing his best shirt and a jacket that didn't quite fit, hoping security wouldn't toss him out on sight. He slipped through the crowd, heart thudding. And then he saw her. Maya stood near the stage in an elegant black gown, calm and confident, her smile easy as she spoke with a group of executives. She looked every bit the leader people talked about, and the same woman who once laughed with him over a stubborn thermostat. For the first time since he'd met her, Ethan was afraid of the distance between them. He was afraid of what would happen if he stayed silent. He took a breath and stepped forward. A few heads turned. A few whispers floated behind him. A maintenance guy crashing a CEO's gala wasn't exactly normal. He didn't care. He walked straight up to Maya and stopped a few feet away. She blinked, surprised. "Ethan?" For a second, neither of them spoke. Then he found his voice. "I was wrong." The music seemed to fade. Maya stared at him, eyes wide. "What?" He swallowed and pushed on. "I was wrong to walk away. Wrong to think you needed someone else. Wrong to believe what we have doesn't matter." He took another step. "I don't care about the gap between us. I don't care about money or titles or what other people think. The only thing I care about is you." It wasn't fancy. It wasn't polished. It was honest. Maya's lips parted and a slow, stunned smile touched her face, like light breaking through clouds. For the first time in weeks, hope reached for her. Yet fear still whispered in the back of her mind. What if this was a grand gesture he would regret? What if, a month from now, he resented her? She needed more than words, even if those words were everything she wanted to hear. She steadied herself. "Ethan," she said gently, "if you really mean this, if you truly want to be with me, prove it." He frowned slightly. Prove it. She nodded. You walked away because you didn't feel like enough, because you said you had to stand on your own. If you believe in us, show me you're willing to fight for this. Not just with speeches, with action. Ethan held her gaze. He didn't argue. He didn't ask for favors. He simply said, I will. The next day, he enrolled in online business courses and night classes that fit between shifts. He worked full-time, then studied until his eyes burned, then got up and did it again. It was messy and tiring, and the progress felt slow. But every time he thought about quitting, he pictured Maya's face at the gala and kept going. Without telling him, Maya also moved a few quiet pieces in the background. Nothing that would wound his pride. A recommendation for a small grant. A nudge toward a scholarship application. An introduction that looked like chance. Little things that opened doors he might not have found on his own. Mostly, she waited. They texted now and then, grabbed coffee once in a while, traded late-night messages about books or podcasts. No labels. No promises. Just two people leaving space for a future they both wanted, if they were brave enough to earn it. Months passed. Ethan learned how budgets worked and how to bid jobs. He practiced writing proposals and pitching small contracts. He picked up a few freelance repair calls on weekends, then a handful more. He trained himself to solve tougher problems, to manage timelines, to keep his word. Slowly, a tiny business took shape. Yard facility tech, just him, a van, and a tool. Said he knew better than the back of his hand. He wasn't running a giant firm. Not yet, but it was his, built from long nights and stubbornness. For the first time, he looked at his life and knew he wasn't just fixing someone else's messes. He was building something of his own. When he realized he was ready, he sat at his small desk and stared at a plain white envelope. Inside was a single bus ticket, the same kind he once pressed into Maya's hand on a rainy night. Back then, it got her home. Now, it was an invitation to something new. He scribbled a note on a small card, his handwriting careful. I've changed. One thing hasn't. I still love you. He slid the card in with the ticket and mailed it before he could overthink it. When Maya opened the envelope, her hands shook. The bus ticket lay on her palm, simple and familiar. The note was short, honest, perfect. For a long moment, she just stood there, heart racing. Then she grabbed her coat and didn't look back. The city was its usual rush, horns, voices, sneakers hitting the pavement, but everything felt sharp and bright. She reached the bus stop out of breath and spotted him at once. Ethan stood there with his hands in his pockets, the same easy stance, the same clear blue eyes, and yet something different, steadier, surer. He had grown into the man he wanted to be. But when he smiled that same warm, stubborn grin she knew so well, she realized he was still Ethan. She didn't slow down. She ran straight into his arms. He caught her and held on like he was never letting go again. The world moved around them, but for a few seconds it felt like they were standing inside a quiet bubble where only the two of them existed. Maya pulled back just enough to meet his eyes, her own bright. You took long enough, she teased. He chuckled. Told you, I don't give up easy. She grinned. Good, because neither do I. Then, with buses sighing at the curb and people weaving past, she kissed him, sealing what both of them already knew. This time there would be no half-truths, no second-guessing, no distance they couldn't cross. Just Maya and Ethan choosing each other, fully and without fear. After that day, things weren't perfect. They were real. Ethan kept growing his company, landing small contracts and delivering on every promise. He hired one helper, then two. He learned to delegate and to plan. Maya stayed the same sharp leader she'd always been, decisive, fair, calm in a storm. They didn't blend their lives overnight. They built a bridge between them, piece by piece. Dinner after long days, early morning walks before meetings, Sunday afternoons reading on the same couch. When problems showed up, they faced them together, not as CEO and contractor, but as two people who chose to try. Every time a doubt crept in, they remembered the first night in the rain, and the second chance at the bus stop, and they kept going. Sometimes love isn't about matching resumes or bank accounts. It's about who shows up when it's hard and who keeps choosing you when it would be easier to walk away. Maya and Ethan came from different worlds, but their hearts wanted the same thing: honesty, grit, and a home they could build together. In the end, Ray All Love didn't care about titles or paychecks. It cared about the promise you're brave enough to keep. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Drammy X Stories. We bring you emotional, uplifting tales that remind us of courage, love, and human connection. Tap subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that speaks to your soul. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.